Baldur's Gate 3 is almost here. With the PC release just a few weeks away, we've recently gotten lots of new information and some answers to some long-standing questions. With that, I wanted to take some time to review some of the big new information we got from both the panel from Hell and the latest community update. We have more information on character creation, multi-classing, a new origin character, a brief look at alchemy, and more. There's a lot to cover, so let's get started. I want to start this off with some news we got in the latest community update about the release date and possible 3-day head start a lot of people had questions about with the PC release. It's been a big topic of discussion lately and we finally have a clear answer. PC players will not have a 72-hour head start and everyone will be playing at the same time on August 3rd. To be honest, it's pretty much expected after some recent hints from the devs on Twitter, though I understand why some people may be upset. In the end, PC players are still getting the game several weeks early. PS5 players will have the 3-day head start, starting on September 3rd, with the full release date September 6th. With the release dates cleared up, let's jump to some other news. Character creation is getting a major overhaul in the full release. Larian talked about and showed some of these changes in the panel from Hell. We are getting some tweaks to existing options, as well as some new options like freckles and a vitiligo slider. We are also getting more tattoos, piercings, and hair options, among others. We're even getting an age slider and the ability to change the color of each eye separately. Seems like Larian has really spent some time revamping the creator and letting players make anything they want, which I feel is a big part of any RPG. We're going to spend the next 70, 80, 100 hours with this character, and it's nice to have this many options. Next up, we have some more information on multi-classing. Big news here is no more ability score requirements. Each level, players will be able to spend points on whatever class they want. You want a wizard barbarian? Go for it. You're not going to have any restrictions. This could be great from a role-playing perspective, but I could see some newer players getting into some trouble. There are obviously going to be some unoptimal builds, and they even give a warning in the community update that you should be familiar with D&D before multi-classing. Regardless, I think it's pretty cool Larian is letting people play however they want, and I'm excited to see the crazy builds that are going to come out of this. With multi-classing and the potential trouble that can come from that, Larian wanted to make sure players are free to experiment and aren't stuck with a build that isn't working. With this, respecking will be available from an NPC you will meet in Act 1. This NPC will let you restart your build from level 1. It's a little controversial, but personally I think it's fine. I'd hate for someone to run into a difficulty spike and be locked out of finishing the game due to a poor build choice they made 50 hours ago. Respecking will really let people experiment with different builds without the fear of being locked in. It doesn't sound like it's going to be forced on you. Respec if you want, ignore it if you don't. Another big piece of news that was first revealed in the panel from Hell is the introduction of the final origin character, the Dark Urge. This is a fully customizable origin character that will allow you to choose the race and class of your character, but will still have the preset backstory. This fixes one of the main issues I personally have with origin characters. Divinity Original Sin 2, I love the origin stories, but never really liked that they were set characters with set names and appearances. I like that with the Dark Urge, I can create whoever I want, but I'm still getting that tailored backstory that's going to be there and reveal itself throughout the game. But I do think it's important to remember that this is still an origin character. There's a preset backstory already. It does sound like it can be pretty evil, maybe even disturbing, as Sven mentioned in the panel from Hell. But it does seem like there are options to try to resist the Dark Urge. I'm really curious to see how this plays out, and will most likely be my choice for my first playthrough. Next up, we have relationships. Larian seems to have spent a significant amount of time on this system, really allowing players to dive into these potential relationships with your companions. The bear clip has gone viral, it's a thing people were talking about. There's a lot more to these relationships. Relationships are going to be complex and in-depth, and every relationship is going to be different. You can go on dates, learn about your partners, it sounds like even get married. We also got a sneak peek at alchemy, although we don't have too much more information around this. Larian did confirm you'll be able to use different ingredients found in the wild to create potions, poisons, and oils that can help you throughout your playthrough. Villains are an integral part to any good RPG story, and we got more information about the third villain in Baldur's Gate 3, Orin. Taken directly from the latest update, quote, "She is a practitioner in the art of inflicting pain and a grandmaster of murder. Orin has killed for many years, but is yet to be caught, thanks in part to her shape-shifting abilities, which enable her to take the form of anyone, perhaps even someone in your camp." End quote. Orin seems like an extremely interesting villain, and possibly taking the form of one of my companions seems like something that could be a really cool part of the story. Next up, we have some more details on split-screen co-op and multiplayer. Players are going to be able to join their friends before the start of a playthrough, during character creation, or during an ongoing game. In multiplayer, players are going to share lots of information with things like journal notes, mini-map discoveries, and alchemy recipes. Player inventories are also going to be shared by default, but there's an option to lock them. Players are going to also share inspiration points that they gain when fulfilling goals defined by their chosen background. These points can be used to reroll checks and dialogue. In multiplayer, you can even listen in on conversations started by another player and vote on which dialogue option you want them to take. The last piece of news I want to go over is the breadth and depth of choices this game is going to have. It's been talked about a lot lately, but Baldur's Gate 3 will include 174 hours of cinematics. Now, I think it's important to remember you're not going to be watching all 174 hours in one playthrough. In the latest community update, Larian mentions the Golden Path should take about 80 hours, but I imagine that number will be a little higher for most people. Even with that, the 174 hours of cinematics accounts for all of the variations you could possibly have, which is a crazy number. Also, there will be over 2,000 characters players can interact with, and they will each have different reactions based on your species and class, which sounds extremely impressive. We'll have to wait and see how in-depth those reactions actually are, but with the different choices you can make and how they can alter the story, it seems like this game could be one of the most reactive games ever. No two playthroughs are going to be alike, and that's amazing for the replayability and potential longevity of this game. Well, those are the main pieces of new information I wanted to cover today, and we'll be on the lookout for more as we get closer to the release date. After 3 years in early access, it's finally here, and Baldur's Gate 3 seems to be setting itself up to be an all-time great. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.